Hi, Liam. Welcome back.
Hey Ronan, happy to be here.
Yeah, good, good. And we are covering, it's a short enough session today. We're going to cover, and maybe a seemingly obvious topic, though, the pros and cons of geographic sales territories. And I just wanted to, before we dive in, I just wanted to explain to people that we're going to do this. We're going to look at every territory design type. There's three types typically. There's geographic, there's account based, and there's the hybrid, which is think of the hybrid as using both geo and account based. We're going to start today though. We're going to kick off with the geographic sales territories and the pros and cons of sales territories. But Liam, let's start with the obvious. What actually is a geographic sales territory?
Yeah, so I suppose a geographic territory is the traditional method of managing or viewing sales territories. And basically how it works or what it means is when an organization or management assign a selection of zip codes or a geography and assign that to a rep. And then basically all of the customers, prospects, leads, opportunities within that geography, the ownership is associated with that rep.
Yeah, okay. And I think most people would can picture what a geographic sales territory is. In the good old days, that was all done by physically sticking a map on a wall and drawing boundaries around it. So in terms of the pros, let's start with the pros of geographic sales territories, Liam. What's the
Yeah,
first one?
so the first one again is quite simple. It's just that it's the logic is kind of easy to manage or easy to understand. Is that uh we can see a selection of zip codes. It's color coded and labeled territory one. We all know territory one, let's say, is assigned to me, and then I have all the accounts, all of the prospects, all of the leads in that region assigned to me. So it's just really easy to structure and understand the how the ownership and assignment of accounts are organized.
Okay, yeah. Number
Second one,
two, yeah.
yeah, it's local knowledge and expertise. So for example, let's say I'm a rep in a geographic region. I could be working there for the last kind of, let's say, 5 years. And over the course of them 5 years, I would have understand my geography in a lot of detail. I'd have a lot of knowledge about it. I know maybe where the best places are to prospect. I'd know where all my valuable customers are. So it's that type of understanding, that type of knowledge it's so valuable to organizations. So yeah, if you're assigning a geography to a rep, or if I'm a rep that's been in a geography for quite some time, that local knowledge is going to gather and it's going to be very valuable.
Yeah, it can be unbelievable. Like and particularly in that idea of feet in the ground, just physically being able to see what's happening on the ground and being able to feed back that through to managers. But sometimes it's not always obvious in the global stats that you might get. You might get US wide statistics on growths, but maybe at local market level, you could be seeing huge hotspots and pockets of growth, and that's fed back through people. Okay, so give us a third one then.
Uh, Management of data is easier. So what I mean by that is more just the raw data. So again, I'm kind of going back to a zip code territory, geographic territory, just to kind of make it easy to understand. But let's say we've added in new reps, or we've done some realignments of existing territories. If you want to export out or get the underlying raw data, it's so easy just to view that, and it's so easy to export that to other systems. So it's quite easy to get a fresh new alignment or a fresh export back out.
Okay. And I guess this next one is aligned to that.
Yeah, it's similar, but it's more, we're not really looking at the underlying data. It's more if you wanted to move or realign a territory, it's more just the administration of that is easier so that you can actually physically click on a geographic zip code and move that or reassign it to a neighboring rep.
Yeah.
So I suppose it's a lot easier to manually adjust it and or use some internal optimization algorithms that we have to design and manage territories.
Okay, and so you came up with five. The
Yeah, so
fifth one, yeah.
I think this is the final one. It's really all about allocation. So if new leads come on board, new prospects, or even customers, we can overlay them on top of the geographic territories, and we can easily view and manage the allocation. So it's so easy so that if new leads, let's say 10 leads have come on board overnight, we can see where they are on the map and we know exactly which rep has the ownership of them.
Yeah, exactly. So if I'm the if I'm based in Dallas, allocating the lead to me is easy if it comes through. Okay, so look, they're all at there. So we've five major pros, but there's always downsides. So talk to me about the downsides of using geographic territories.
Yeah, so there's advantages and disadvantages. So the first one that could be a disruption or is really a conflict. So let's say Ronan, you and I are neighboring reps. I could mistakenly go across a territory boundary, um, and yeah, there could be some conflicts could arise there because I could be looking at a customer, that's not technically in my geographic region, because we know how granular zip codes can get. It could be the other side of a highway, um, or just in a neighborhood close by, just in a few minutes drive down the road. So it could also be that I could have a customer I'm operating or serving. They could have a warehouse or a different office, at a close distance away, and I could think, okay, yep, this could be a potential new customer for me, but it could be in a different territory.
Yeah. Or you're dealing with a customer for years and they open up a new operation in a different geographical territory, and that can cause a lot of internal pain. Okay. So another con.
Yep. So accounts in the same geography cannot be shared. So this goes, this actually a classic example that we use to explain this would be, let's say again, you and I, we're neighboring reps. We let's say we're in a medical device um company. Let's say I specialize in the dermatology unit, you specialize in the oncology unit. We both sell products to the two separate kind of areas or the divisions of the hospital. But the hospital, the building's in the same zip code. But they're two separate accounts. So this is a disadvantage when you look at
Yeah.
geographic territories because you can't split zip codes, you can't get more granular than zip codes. So
Okay.
this is a definite con.
Yeah, and we're gonna cover that off in our next discussion around account space, because that's generally how people will deal with that particular one. Um, okay, yeah, this is an interesting one.
Yeah, this brings in I suppose the human impact of when you do a territory realignment or if you move zip codes from one rep to another. Um, yeah, it's just disruption. So again, Ronan, you could have been working with a number of several customers over the last number of years. You built up a lot of relationships there. You got a lot of business from certain customers, and now I could have the ownership of that zip code, which means the accounts are assigned to me, and potentially I wouldn't have the same relationship as you would have had. So there could be loss of business there, or yeah, there could be reps that could be unhappy as a result of
Yeah.
making the change.
Okay, and I think we've four on this one, Liam. So yeah, this is your last con.
Yeah, account ownership is based on location, not relationship. So a similar overlap is that just any accounts that fall within a territory are assigned to the rep that's associated with that territory. So if there is any realignments, there's a negative there. Um, there could be some kind of touch, or just to move on a little bit on market saturation as well, is that once the potential of a zip code is maximized, that territory has become, let's say, limited in terms of what else can be brought or what else can be brought in from that from that area or that zip code. So it's all location based. It's very hard to bring in certain exceptions in terms of relationships or what else that can a rep do within a zip code or within his or her territory.
Yeah, and I guess I suppose again, we touch on this in the next session and on account based. If you have a rep with a particular skill set that might be perfect for a customer, it shouldn't matter really where that location is, particularly if they're a larger customer, a major account. And really relationships can often be critical at that level. So this is where it can create a bit of a challenge.
Absolutely.
Okay, great. Okay, Liam. So we've five pros, four cons. We're not really for or against. What we find is that most people tend to have probably a mix, and we will cover that off. So yeah, so look, we have a handout. Those of you who've seen this is available to anyone who would like it. Just reach out to us and we'll hand this over to you. And then in our next session, Liam, we're going to talk about account-based, and again, pros and cons of account-based territory alignments. And then we'll tie it. We'll finish this off with the hybrid, and we can show people in the next session what an account-based alignment actually looks like, and then the hybrid at a later stage. So
Yeah,
listen,
sounds good.
thanks, Liam. Much appreciated.
Thanks, Rona.